And we begin with politics, as immediate past special advisor on political matters to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that's Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, has said the North would declare its stand on the 2027 presidential run in the next 6 months. Speaking in a video interview obtained by This Day, Baba Ahmed, who appeared alongside Professor Usman Yusuf, former Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, emphasized that the North would soon define its political direction as it was tired of identity politics. Well, this was as a former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami San, accused former governors of Nasarawa and Katsina states, that namely Senator Umaru Al-Makura and Bello Aminu Masari, of declaring support for the Bola Tinubu government for personal gains, saying they could not speak for the bloc of the Congress for Progressive Change, CPC, of the All Progressives Congress, APC. A lot of dynamics, a lot of moving pieces here. We followed this story as it broke last week, and of course it continues to unravel at FME.
It does. I think that essentially there isn't anything groundbreaking about what he said. I think every politician, every Nigerian knows how strategically important the North is as a whole. And even when you break it down into subsections, it is strategically, politically speaking, a very diverse section of the country. And also politically speaking, if you are seeking to become president of this country, it is a part of the country that you would need to have under your belt. So in that context, I don't think what he said comes as a surprise to many. And then specifically, when you look at him and his political background, who he is, even though he's only just recently resigned as the special advisor to the president, it is clearly something that he is personally engaged in. He talked about how the North, this very same region, has been disproportionately affected by insecurity in the country over the last few years. You could even stretch it out into decades. So I think that when we're looking at insecurity, which is a huge issue across the north of Nigeria, the northeast, the north central, the northwest, it is clearly something that he thinks whoever will emerge as president is something that they need to address head on. And perhaps there's a little tacit step away from the Tinubu presidency. Perhaps he doesn't think, or he isn't saying that this is something that is in the bag for the president. This is a vote or a portion of the country that he does need to work to get. And I can imagine that there will be many people who agree with him that when it comes to looking at insecurity, identity politics, the appointments of different positions in this country to this region, over the next 6 months, we're going to be taking a closer look at what all people who are seeking to take this highest office in 2077 are going to do for our region, and then we'll make our decision. So, 6 months from now, it's October? So we'll have to see what they decide thereafter.
Okay, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed. Let's start with him. He used to be spokesperson of the Arewa Consultative Forum. And in that position, Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed defended the interest of the North, and he was not apologetic about it. And now he went on to serve as a political advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, serving in the office of the vice president. In a very unusual Nigerian manner, he resigned from that position. Most Nigerians don't resign, because when you resign from a political appointment, it looks like you are walking out on the government. But Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed summoned the courage and said, well, I'm walking out of here. I'm going back to wherever I was before. He's an academic, he's an educated man. He took that appointment in spite of the fact that his younger brother was the running mate on the platform of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential election. So, one, he must have taken that decision to serve in the Tinubu government on his own, confidently. Now he has taken the decision that he no longer wants to be part of that government. Now he's back to his old territory. And what has he said that has now become a subject? He's saying that the North will decide in the next 6 months whether it will support President Tinubu or not for the 2027 presidential election. Does he speak for the whole of the North? Maybe not, because there are persons in the North who are saying look, we will support President Tinubu in 2027. Is it right when he says, look, nobody can be president of Nigeria without the North? I think he's right in that regard. You need two-thirds representation across Nigeria for you to be comfortably elected as president of Nigeria. In the last election, why is the North important? The 19 states of northern Nigeria gave President Tinubu 62% of the total votes cast. So in other words, it was heavily supported by the North. Now for the North and their spokesperson on the platform of the ACF to be saying we will take a decision in 6 months. That, I think, is concerning. It's something that, the Tinubu team, by way of strategy, will need to pay attention to. Can President Tinubu afford to lose the support of the North? I don't think so. He, as a politician, will know that for him to get that re-election, he will need to carry everybody along. But my argument is that it's a matter of strategy. Number two, now can Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed speak for the whole of the North? I don't think so. Whether he's a spokesperson of the ACF and all of that, no. He cannot speak for the whole of the North. He may be expressing the concern of a tendency. Now, in 6 months, the North will make his position known. It sounds to me like scaremongering. Scaring, the APC and scaring President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Because in politics, when you say, oh, this is how we will go, this is what we are likely to decide, do you know what the other party is also planning? Whether it's coalition politics, whatever it is. The dynamics, will keep changing. Number 3 point, yes, he expressed the concern that the North doesn't feel satisfied. He talked about identity politics, and he deplored identity politics. As a sociologist, he has a PhD, from the UK in sociology, in political science. So he knows what he's talking about. And from the North, we have been hearing that, they think President Tinubu is playing Yoruba politics. And that's ironic that spokespersons for the North are talking about identity politics. Because, in fact, this is the major thing that the rest of Nigeria had complained about. With the politics of the North, about identity politics. That anytime you had a northerner in power, the person will play identity politics. So everybody will say, oh, we are the one in charge of power now, let me put my people there. So where is this moral right? It speaks to something far more fundamental about how Nigeria itself is organized. Because this is a country where everybody is looking out for their own. Mm-hmm. If you have a man from Igbo land as president of Nigeria, you just go to Transcorp Hilton, you see everybody there wearing red cap. If you have a Yoruba man there, you see everybody there wearing a Yoruba cap. If you have a northerner there, you just go to the lobby of Transcorp Hilton. That shows that something is wrong. And that's why I agree, with the point made by Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, that the emphasis should be on merit. The emphasis should be on competence. Are we going to get to a point in this country when meritocracy and competence will be the key issues in politics and leadership? Finally, to just illustrate the point about the North being divided, is a story about the CPC, the Congress for Progressive Change, which is the President Buhari's wing of the APC coalition. They are fighting among themselves. We had Honorable Farouk Aliyu here, who was saying that, look, we are going with President Tinubu in 2027. They are also northerners. They also have a voice. But you also have another wing of CPC saying, no, some people cannot talk for the CPC. They too have their own rights. So what is most unfortunate about all of this, as I summarize, is that it's unfortunate that in 2025, Nigerian politics has now focused on 2027. The way we are carrying on, governance will stop. Everybody will be talking politics. And yet, the people of Nigeria are saying we want security, we want an economy that works, we want better life. But the politicians appear to be distracted.
Absolutely. I echo that point that we are yet to celebrate the second year anniversary of this administration, and what is dominating conversations is electioneering, politicking ahead of the next election, which is hugely unfortunate because there's so many dividends of democracy that Nigerians are waiting to receive. But since what is dominating the conversation is electioneering, we've got no choice but to unpack it and to unpack the implications. Well, there is a statement from Baba Ahmed about the North and the North choosing, well, he speaks for the North and he said that a decision will be made in the next 6 months. Now, I want to challenge what we call the Northern political might today. Because when we speak of the Northern political might and when we look at it, we have to remember the context that in that 2023 election where President Tinubu won the election with 62% of the vote coming from the 19 northern states, there was 26.7 voter turnout, meaning 70% of Nigeria did not vote in that election. So the question again is, what is the state of this northern political might? Well, that's why there's a census that has been commissioned to be conducted very soon. We're not certain of the dates yet, but the committee has been inaugurated and work should be underway. This is a census that was supposed to take place shortly after the 2023 election, and now we're expecting that. What will this census reveal about our demographic breakdown, about where young people stand? Because we know that the election in this season belongs to young people. Just as the last election did, where you found that the majority were those who are coming to vote for the very first time, 2027 will be no different. As we see more and more of those of the born-free era who didn't live under military dictatorship, who didn't live under many of the past administrations, are coming to lend their voices. Will they vote, number one? Number two, what will the demographics reveal about what Nigeria's current breakdown looks like, and how will that impact what we have come to know as the political might of the North? Very important questions. Well, when we speak about the North as well, it's important to also remember the very valid point made by Dr. Abati, which is that it's not standing as a single unilateral bloc at the moment. As things stand, we know that there are divisions between the CPC, those who are affirming their allegiance to the ruling party under Bola Tinubu, as vocalized by Honorable Mohammed Datti, and who are saying that anybody who is speaking against the CPC doesn't have electoral value and is a paper tiger, to quote the words of Mohammed Datti. And then there are those who are anti, whose body language is saying that, well, they want to leave. Of course, we already know that Malam Al-Rufai has left, and there are rumors and rumblings that several more want to leave. And all of this still ties back to the administration of former President Buhari. And if you look at the way the intrigues played out during the 2023 elections, it tells us a lot about what's happening within the APC itself. If you remember, there were rumors about the Buhari bloc, the CPC bloc, allegedly working against the election of President Bola Tinubu. Is it possible that the disgruntlement of this bloc that led them to want to work against his candidacy suddenly disappeared when he came into office? Absolutely not. Those people will continue to work. Now, there's the other issue of during President Buhari's tenure, we heard reports of how now President Tinubu, at the time he was out of government, was quote-unquote marginalized, how he was denied access to the president. And many of those who are alleging this are saying that it was those loyal stalwarts of President Buhari, those CPC bloc members, who ensured that there was this separation. So we see that this factionalism did not begin today. Coalitions are notorious for the disgruntlement they cause because two or more parties come together with their own ranks with their own expectations, and then hierarchy, politics of ego begin to play between several different structures that all feel entitled to the spoils themselves. So when we speak of the North, we're not speaking of one huge block. It's not a single brush. Of course, the North doesn't even exist as a geopolitical zone. There are several intrigues. So for one gentleman to come and say that the North will decide is a little bit reductive of the fact that there are several factors at play. And secondly, that census may also go to show us that there may be more numbers in the South, as we've seen that there's been a romance of sorts that I've called it being played, diplomacy, being played by the First Lady, as we've seen her rub shoulders in the South and begin to see some of the body language of the governors, opposition governors, warm up to the current administration with rumors rife that they're soon to cross the floor. Well, this political melodrama will continue.
Just
yes.
A small correction there. Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed was spokesperson for the Northern Elders Forum.
Okay.
Yeah. And the point you were making is that the North is not monolithic.
Exactly.
That's how we put it, So.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that input.